Okay, I'm back. Had a quick chance to eat my supper. I feel much better now. Alright, so we got the flower part of it done before I left. And now we're going to move on to the swirls. And again, same thing, I'm going to poke some holes in the places. Now I've got a couple leaves here as well, so I'm going to do the swirls first, I think. And I'll get back to the leaves later. So I'm just going to poke holes on the ends of my curls as a starting point. That one I'm going to have to be a little careful. I got it a little close to the top hole. Now swirls look better if they have thick and thin parts. So usually you put the thick part either at the end and taper to a thinner part, or you put a thick part along the curve. Not that it's the easiest thing in the world to control how your curl comes out, but that's my first curl. I think that turned out okay. Ooh, losing control. And there's no way I could get in around these curves and things if I was trying to do this with a knife. That's why I've mentioned over and over again that getting one of the kits, you don't really need it. And it probably seems silly to spend $8 on a kit I'm probably not going to use, except for this one little piece makes my life so much easier. And I've used it in every pumpkin I've done tonight. So that proves my point a certain amount, I think. That if you want to do anything that has curves and curlicues, or if you want to do small spaces, the only real way to do it successfully without stress is one of these little guys. Okay, so that's another curve down. I think I've got him fully detached from everything else, but oh, there you go. When there's slim pieces, sometimes it's hard to get them to go out of the hole. Now some of these I'm doing now, I might have to go in and widen a bit, because when you're doing a curve, the blade tends to bend a bit, and that means sometimes you're on an angle and the light's not getting through as well. But now we've got two curves down. And then I have my kind of long spin-off kind of a curve going on here. It ended up different than all the others. It got away from me a little bit, but like I said, you kind of have to let go of perfection when it comes to some things, because it's not always possible, so you might as well just enjoy it, have fun and explore, and not spend your time worrying about whether or not it's going to be perfect. Unless, of course, you're a rocket scientist, then it's probably important. There's a lot of things that were invented by someone trying something that didn't work out perfectly and ended up being something else, so why would I worry about it? I may be getting a little bit too thick near the end of this curl. There we go. I was having a hard time getting that piece off. So, these three curls are now done. As you can see, I will do the dot parts later, and I'm going to do the leaves after the curls, so I'm skipping over the leaves. I find if I do the same kind of shape over and over, it gets a little easier each time. Excuse me. So I'm doing all the curls at once. Like I did all the triangles at once, basically. It's like muscle memory or something, I guess they call it. Athletes manage to get really, really good at something because they do it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until their body does it without even thinking. This is nothing like that. That's my story anyways. Having never been an athlete at all, in any sport, in any form, I would know nothing about that really. I'm probably not talking loud enough, seeing as how the camera's way over there. I'm muttering to myself. If you can't hear me, don't worry, it's not important. If it's something important, I'll be sure to speak up. Oh, there, I almost had it. That one's pretty cool. That one turned out alright. I do have to widen out the hole a bit to get some light to show through, but otherwise it turned out pretty good. So I have one set of spirals left up here. And when the spirals are done, it's almost probably 3/4 of the way finished, which I thought was going to take a lot longer. I thought because we had all the curliques and such that this was going to be the most difficult pumpkin of the day. I actually think the most difficult pumpkin of the day was the haunted house. Simply because I was trying so hard not to break off anything important. Entirely so stressful about the whole thing. Not that, as I've said, you can't fix a lot of issues. If you break some things off, you can quite often fix it with a toothpick, inserted in the right place. But I still stress about it. Especially if I'm trying to make a video to show people how to do it. If you're trying to show people how to do it, you should probably do it right. I would think, anyways. Try not to ruin it completely while you're doing it. Okay. I think that one will be showing a nice amount of light. This is the one I said I had to be careful because it's really quite close to the edge of my lid. Although the lid probably would still work even if I managed to accidentally cut through that. So I don't know why I'm too worried about it, but I still worry. I just finished saying don't worry. I guess what I mean here is don't worry about perfection. Try and keep it all in one piece though, because your life is easier that way, but don't worry about perfection. It can be pretty without being perfect. Okay, so I just need to make that part thicker because there's no light getting through it. A really nice tight curve. So I'm trying not to mess up my nice tight curve. There, okay. Hopefully that's enough light. If I did enough of these, maybe I'd end up with one big Popeye arm from all the sawing. That might be interesting. How did you get one big arm? Oh, I carved pumpkins. It's way better than having to eat spinach. I still have apple cake left over. I didn't do a video on the apple cake. I did do a blog post, however, on apple cake. That's what I'm having for dessert when this is all finished. I'm going to treat myself to a cup of tea and a piece of nice warm apple cake. As a now I'm losing my voice. As a congratulations for managing to finish all of my pumpkins in one day. Originally I thought I was going to end up doing one pumpkin each night at midnight when I get home, because that's when I get home from work, in order to get these all done in time for Halloween. But I guess not feeling well this morning kind of helped out. Okay, so here are what I have finished, or here is what I have finished so far. So what's left? I've got 3 of these leaves, and basically the leaf I'm making is a curlicue that's quite thick, a little line in the middle and a little edge line on the outside. So basically it's giving the impression of a leaf, but we're not actually cutting out a whole leaf. And then I have some random dots here and there. I just thought that would be cool. And I only put a couple to tell me where I want to put them, but I may kind of continue out and poke a few in swirls or in designs or something. I haven't decided. I've got lots of time now, since I'm almost done and this is my last one. And it really hasn't taken that long yet. So I do have lots of time to figure out if I want to add any extra embellishments or not. So there's 1 leaf. Here's 2 leaves. And the 3rd leaf is on top. Now that I've done so many things with this, it's a little bit wonky now. There we go. I guess I've abused it. So this is going to be a very thin line. As thin as I can get it while still showing light through it, really. The other way to go would be to just cut out the whole leaf, so you have the whole empty void in a leaf shape. But you can't really get any of the inside details for that. The only thing you have to go by is the outside edge shape, and I thought if I can do it this way, it has a little bit more of a style to it. So that's what we're attempting, is some style. As Buzz Lightyear said, this isn't falling. No, this isn't flying, this is falling with style. Nope, there, see, I broke off that piece. So, I'm going to get as much of this done as I can and before I fix it. And what I was doing is trying to get around too tight of a curve. The skin of the pumpkin broke. I'm not sure how much of the actual piece of the pumpkin broke, but the skin of it broke on my curve. So, I'm going to very carefully see if I can't finish cutting it while it's still in, oh, nope, still in place. So, since that happened, we're changing our curve. Sometimes in henna, the big curves have an actual little circle on the end of it. So like I said, make it work for you if you make a mistake. And that's what I'm going to do. So much goop in there right now. It's kind of hard to see whether it's working. There, okay. I think that got rid of that. That got rid of that. So I will show you in a minute what I ended up with. As soon as I get there. Get that piece out of the way. So, our original plan was something like this. If you could see that, where there's a curl. And since this very tight part of the curl is what broke off, we now ended up with this. So we're getting still have a curlicue look to it, but there's a big hole at the end of the leaf where the curlicue ends. And that's alright with me. I think that still looks kind of stylish. Wouldn't you believe, once again, my dog's over there wanting to get let out. Every single time I'm on a video, he wants to go outside. Maybe he doesn't like to hear me talk. I don't know. Anyway, so the first leaf is done. We're going to move to the next one. So now the question is, do I make all the leaves match so that they all do the same thing the first one did? And I think I will. I like symmetry. So I'm just going to continue right around on this. And when I come back around on the other side, I'm going to probably leave a nice round hole. like the first one. That way they all match. It looks like it was meant to be that way. And nobody knows any different. There, good Tonka. Finally you went in your house. Yeah, I know. Poor thing. Okay, so we're working our way down towards the end of my nice curlicue. It is one side of my leaf. There we go. That's what I was after. And so, what happened last time is, see, it's just too thin, that's the problem. This part of it is just too thin. Okay. So once again, I'm going to have a curlicue with a bit of a bigger hole on the end of it. It's funny, the other curlicues work just fine. I must have tighter curlicues in my leaf than I did in the actual curlicues. Not make that one thick enough. I don't think we're going to get right through, so we'll just go over it once or twice. See if we can't get it there. That might be better. Second leaf down. One more leaf, and then cut out the center and poke some holes. Actually, I think I will poke the holes before I cut out the center, because it takes a bit of force to poke the holes. I don't want to take a chance on pushing the center in while I do it. So I want to make it so the very last thing I do is cut out that centerpiece. I think in many ways that's what's kind of holding the whole thing together. Maybe my problem is I'm rushing. Because you can do some very nice turns, tight turns, if you're just going up and down like this while turning your blade, like I'm doing. If you start trying to crank your blade around the corner, or push to go faster than what it's willing to go, maybe that's part of my issue. It's getting carried away on the speed while I was talking. I put more pressure on the piece at the center of the curlicue. Because this one seems to be working out okay. All I have left to do is the center part. Sometimes the hardest part is figuring out what part to hang on to. Okay. Almost forgot to do my little stem in the middle of my leaf. I can feel the leaf moving around, so I should have done the stem part first. So I'm not putting pressure on the seams here and here. I was worried about my curlicue. So I kind of did them out of order. So if you feel it moving around, don't put a lot of pressure on it. Like I said, just let the saw do its own thing. And then there's a better chance that you're not breaking any pieces. Okay, so majority of it is cut out now. And I'm going to make some holes. Now the holes in the picture are smaller than what they're going to end up. I just did it so I'd know where to go. So you push it in and you just turn the handle all the way around and pull it out. And you can see, you've got kind of a perfect little hole. That's why I love these things for this. I used to make a lot of baby pumpkins, and they always had to have freckles. And these things make wonderful freckles. So there's 2 holes there. There's 1. 2 holes there. I think I'm just going to go 1 big hole on each of these, and then I'm going to start doing smaller holes with my skewer thing. Alright, so I've done some holes to kind of pretty up the design. And I'm going to use my skewer. Now, the skewer, when you go up far enough, it's actually square edged, but the tip is round. So I'm hoping that this is going to make a nice circular spot. And if it doesn't, I can always just twist it around a bit. It's a little bit square, but I don't think anybody will be able to tell. I'm trying not to push down on here. That's why sometimes I say it's figuring out what you can hang on to that's the biggest problem. I'm going to carry this one around in a bit of a curve. And this one's going to kind of trail down like there's a plant like a vine that has flowers and it has little danglies that hang down. I can't think of the name of the plant. That's what I'm thinking of when I make this little trail of spots. Okay. So I have added some little spots and circles here and there. And now we have the final bit of work, and that is cutting out the center circle, the one I've been worrying about the whole time, because I think it might be holding together a lot of my center pumpkins. So hopefully, cut this out nice and easy without having to push on anything, and therefore without causing any issues to the structure of our center of our pumpkin. I'm just going to take my time and let the saw do its thing. It is moving a little bit back and forth as I cut, but so far it seems fairly stable. Okay. So there's that. These little pieces that we cut out earlier should now come out fairly easily. There we go. And then I'm going to take a second and I'm going to dump all the little bits out of it so that we can do a test and see how it looks. I might have to recut a few of these little slots a little bit here and there to make more light come through. But I think it turned out pretty good, really. There's only a few spots that don't seem very thick. That is one of them. There, okay. A little bit of stringy stuff behind it, that's probably the problem. So, when I bang the pumpkin to get the pieces out, I'm making sure to bang on the back side of the pumpkin because the last thing I want to do is bang on this and break a piece off. So, well, I suppose if I wanted to, I could make it 3D. I could put that back in there, poke some holes in it or something. But I think I like the big open space in the middle. I literally have half a garbage bag full of pumpkin cakes at this point. If I had a mulch patch, I'd be all set. The problem with being in town, when we used to live in the country, if you had stuff like this, you took it to the tree line and you dumped it. You didn't have to worry about it. Last year I didn't have a tree line, I didn't have a mulch patch or anything like that because I'm in the town now. But I have one little corner out by the fence that I didn't really care about, so I tossed the old pumpkins in it And then this year, next thing you know, I've got pumpkin vines and flowers. If Chris hadn't mowed over it several times, I probably would have had pumpkins of my own. When I realized what it was, I told him I was quite excited about getting my own pumpkins, and that's when he told me he'd been mowing it down. Oops. I guess I should have figured it out sooner. Okay. So, lights out. How does it look? You can't tell anything from there. Like I say, the candle that's going to, or the glow stick that's going to be in these on Halloween night, I think is probably brighter than this little itty bitty flameless candle I'm using. But I don't see very much of anything that's not showing like it's supposed to. Everything pretty much looks like it has light coming through it. I'm happy with it. This is the first one I haven't had to go back and touch up. Perhaps I'm getting better as I go. So, that being said, this concludes our Day of the Pumpkin. And I believe I will now set myself up that cup of tea and that apple cake. And put these videos, post them to YouTube. As I said earlier, if you're seeing this on YouTube, there should probably be links there where the other ones will also show up. Quite often it does that automatically. If not, I do have a YouTube channel. It's under Joy Gillard, Gillard. Or you can also go to my my blog website, which is survivinglifeover40.com, and it's also the subtitle of the whole thing is Adventures in Menopause. You might be able to look it up that way. And you can see the other pumpkins that we've created today, or I've created today. And maybe it'll inspire you to go out and buy a whole bunch of pumpkins and give it a go. I hope it does. If you've carved pumpkins before, maybe it gave you some new ideas. Who knows? But it's always a lot of fun, and I enjoy doing it. So until then, until next time, when I think of something else to do, which I haven't yet decided what's going to be next for my blog or my YouTube channel, but when I do, I will certainly see you then. Toodles till then.